Howdy folks, I'm back with the after action review for Jena-Auerstadt. I'm going to splice this together with some footage already filmed after I finished playing it. I discuss the victory conditions and that. I'm going to tack on here a little bit of extra discussion about reading material and stuff. But so this is, that's too far away. I'm not seeing that. All right, shoot, there we go. Jena-Auerstadt, part of the SPI, Napoleon At War Quad, October 1806. All right, so as mentioned, it's important to understand your victory conditions and what you're doing. I've spliced that in. I've had that discussion, and I'm gonna just reiterate here. Know what you're trying to accomplish. Know what your goals are. Now, historically, Napoleon thought he knew what was going on, didn't he? He thought he was facing the main army, and he hadn't. He was fighting the rear guard. The bulk of the forces the Prussian had headed off to Auerstadt. And so he was, kicking butt there on the plateau in the Dornberg and doing good. And later he heard Marshal Davout reporting that he had engaged the main army. It's like, oh, is he seeing double? And finally he figured out, oh my God, he was fighting the bigger part. And he ended up rewarding Davout, calling him the Duke of Auerstadt. He gave him So we're going to talk first about the marshals. Here's Davout. Now, there are a number of books on Napoleon's marshals. Now, many of you will have heard of Chandler's book on the campaigns in Napoleon. It's a classic. I'm not going to cover it here, but Chandler had written other books, and this is edited by him. This is Napoleon's marshals. This came out in when? There's chapters on each marshals. This came out in 1987. So, of course, there's a chapter in here on Davout and Bernadotte. Now, there were some other main dudes here, Augereau, Bernadotte, of course, we mentioned. I think was it Soult, S-O-U-L-T. I don't know how to pronounce it. Lanz may have been there. And Marat was there. I don't think he saw as much big action here. That's all I just remember off the top of my head. There may have been one other. So this is a good reference. This is one here. It's a little more old school. This came out in, is it 72 or 73? 73. There's nice illustrations of the various guys, some color prints, chapter on all the different marshals. Now this book here, this guy who wrote this printing of this came out in 2011. The original source material was not written in 2011, and it's actually not included in this book. So there is the introductory material, which is, copyright 2011, the editorial material, but these actual chapters on there were written at some time, and it's not telling me in here when that was. So that this is from Leonard Press. They have a ton of these titles where they take old biographies written from way past, and they repackage them and do that. So there's quite a lot of interesting material in this series. Now, if you really, really want to know a lot about Davout, and he's like one of the badass characters, he is probably overall, pound for pound, the best marshal that Napoleon had. I'm going to make that claim. Maybe everyone does agree. Hey, Marshal Ney, the bravest of the brave. He did good in some cases, not so much in others. Massena, Murat, sexy beast, cavalry officer. Okay, a lot of them got in trouble. Bernadotte had his issues. He was not very loyal in the end. But yeah, Davout's the man. Okay, so if you want to see this very detailed biography of the Iron Marshal, that was his nickname. This came out originally in 1976. This was republished in 2000 with a new preface, I believe. So, boom. Davout. All right, so Jena-Auerstadt in general. All right, if you want, it's hard to beat Osprey titles for their general coverage of these campaigns or campaign series. So Jena 18, of course, it covers Jena and Auerstadt, and precursor maneuvers and the big chase at the end after they've defeated them. They chased down and forced lots of the Prussians to surrender. And they didn't just like that stop. They just ran rampant through all of Prussia. But for the coverage of the Battle of Jena and Auerstadt core stuff, lots of pictures, illustrations, maps as you're used to seeing. Let's see some of the maps here. Order of battle, uniforms. Here we go. Now, sometimes they're a little 3D, kind of 2.5D, hard to tell. This is, here, there was these heights. There was like this ravine. There was stuff. So basically, Napoleon was having to fight his way out here and expand. And this is part of the reason why the Prussians chose this as sort of like the place to fight a rear guard. If they had sent all their troops here, they couldn't have necessarily utilized them all, because what clogged up Napoleon here also protected flanks, right? Let's see. All right, here's a little better. This might be, this is, all right, here we go. So here's Jena, and they're pushing this way. So there's Marat, there's Lens. Yeah, okay, so even Ney's here. Way over here, Davout had maneuvered. Bernadotte was supposed to go with him, but Bernadotte spent the whole day just going from here to here. I'm going to go to Napoleon, but really he should have supported him, and the spirit of his order should have been to go to the sound of this battle, but instead he didn't like Davout, and so he just did nothing. So there you go. And here is, Auerstadt here. So this is where the Prussians came and sort of spread out as Davout started showing up with his dudes. It's like, now there's this river here that sort of protected this flank. He, let's see, where is it? It's like called Hassenhausen. Yeah, Hassenhausen. He spread out here, started his defense there. They engaged, and he was able to win the day there. So this is a good overall. Oh, there's the aftermath. Here's the battle that they won, and then chasing all this stuff here. All right. Now, if you want really old school, if you want to cover the whole Prussian campaign, Petra, he's a very old school author in that Chandler learned a lot of his stuff before he wrote his. So there's an introduction here by Chandler. This is kind of the go-to guy that Chandler cut his teeth on. 1907. That's when this was written here. There's a series of these books on various campaigns. This is the Prussian campaign of 1806. Now, I'm going to say something about this one here. This guy has done 3 books. This is the middle one. There's the late 1811 up, where Napoleon gets in trouble. There's the stuff leading up to, I think this book starts in 1805 or 1806. Napoleon on his rise. I can't remember here what that total. Soldier of Destiny. That's the first volume. I don't remember the name of the last one. So this is a good book, except it's not. It's part of a series. If you like this author and that, but I found that one this wasn't as well organized. You can go to the index and you can find Jena-Auerstadt. And you can find, I've got to go to page 122. But if I look at the table of contents at the start, I'm like, well, where am I going? We got Humbling of the Habsburgs, Death of an Idol, To the Edge of the World. Well, this is 1807, so obviously, so somewhere in these 3 chapters is the invasion of Prussia, Jena-Auerstadt, and it's like you'd have to. It's actually in the second part here, but not very well organized here. If I go to page 124, say, map. Oh my God, look at this map. Can you read that map very well? The paper's so thin. There's vertical, that's the text on the other side coming through the page. All right, Yeah, see, it's and it's so tiny, tiny, tiny. There's Jena right here, and Auerstadt's there, and there's so you can kind of see it. But wow, that's so. If you're a completist like me, you're going to get everything, and you're going to get all the series and all the stuff. But if you're out looking for material on the Prussian campaign about Auerstadt, I would not start here. This is like if you're a completist and you're going to just get everything. But I would right. If you just want something here, I would start with this. And if you want to know stuff this day and age, I would say like if you want to know about all the different marshals and their interactions, relationship, Napoleon and each other, this is probably the way to go. If you like detailed biographies, and particularly someone like Davout, that's the way to go. So that is my little supplemental reading suggestions for this. So this is part of my after-action review for Jena-Auerstadt. We played the game. We won as the French. And we could have messed up. And if I had paid more attention to the rules, wouldn't have taken as much risk with the Prussians at Auerstadt, and probably would have tried to fall back earlier. Now, I'm going to quickly pop up the map and talk about that, because this is an after-action review after all. So again, the French are starting here, and they're getting a lot of reinforcements, and the Prussians don't have a lot, but basically they're trying to fall back. The faster they fall back, they might be able to save more, but if the French are getting so many more troops, they might break through, they might do it. Now, one of the things I didn't realize, part of the victory condition of the French is exiting strength points off of, so this, the names are this way, the record tracks across the top are this way. This happens to be north and west. So the French can exit off of this side and this side of the map. They're starting down here. 125 strength points. They need to get 125 strength points off these edges to get bonus victory points. The French are going to lose if the Prussians can keep their losses to 48 or more. And if, say, they get demoralized here, but keep the losses, they don't get demoralized here, then the French, they can win by a point. Now, in my game, the Prussians lost enough. The French didn't exit over here. No one got demoralized here. It's impossible the French get demoralized here. This is ridiculous. It's possible that they could take a risk here, the Prussians, and could demoralize the French. That would be key, but that's very risky. So that's part of the strategy and the fun. Now, so I did mention that I think I misplayed that you start in the forest. In the night, you can't go through the forest. And I think I sort of penetrated here a little bit, and I started to get here, and it spread out the lines. The Prussians could have held closer, tighter, and then moved back before night, like the last night turn 3. You don't want to go back too fast, too far. It's very tempting to stay here and hold here as long as possible, because then it opens up here. So normally you think, well, the French are more likely to get up this way, but if this breaks open early going up this road, they could exit off this way. So it's hard to know the best way to play the Prussian delaying tactics. As the French, I would prioritize, once the night ends and you're into the fog, then normally moving all the cavalry this way, continue to fight with the infantry, the artillery, hoping here, go for exchanges. Don't play cautious here. You want to kill as many Prussians as possible. You've got way more. Now, you still got to make sure that you kill more Prussians than you lose at a 2-to-1 ratio. Because otherwise, the Prussians get points for that. You've got to kill more than twice the amount of Prussians than you lose. But you want to kill more than 49 points of Prussians total. So you're totally willing here to make exchanges. Here, less so. here, the demoralization level of the Prussians is 15. The demoralization level of the French is only 19. I can't remember what the Prussian, it might be 18 here for the Prussians. It's like 75 for the French. Ridiculous, right? But get cavalry this way, trying to get around. Eventually some French guys come in here, and even here eventually, and there's even like the 12th turn, some guys come on here for the French, and of course they would just exit off here. It's like there's no way that there's Prussians still here on the 12th turn of the game. Excuse me. So anyway, how you play this, how you do this, where you emphasize your kind of attack, and how you deal with the French rear guard, the Prussian rear guard dealing with the French. It's all interesting. And so at some point I like to play it again, having paid more attention to the victory conditions. It's lots of fun. But so that's been Meandering Mike, examination of Jena-Auerstadt, 14 October 1806. This has been a series in my Hexagon Alley, looking at old school hex encounter war games. So I hope you enjoyed this series of videos, enjoyed this after action review, and I'm going to say, as I always do, take care of your games and they'll take care of you. Ciao.